And welcome to the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group for Sunday, February 14th, 2016. Today we're going to be talking about file management. And Windows Explorer and File Explorer is the file management program, or are the file management programs built into Windows. Windows Explorer in version 7 and File Explorer in version 10, and to be honest with you, I don't remember what they called it in version 8, but it was something else, or it was one of those two. So let's get started. The computer is made up of two parts, the brains and file cabinets. A lot of people call memory and they get it confused, so I try to break it down into brains and file cabinets. So the brains are your memory sticks and your CPU. And that's what I call the brains. Now the file cabinet can be made up of things like your hard drive, USB flash drives, memory cards, SSD or solid state drives, could be an external hard drive of some sort, but they're all file cabinets. All they're doing is storing information. They aren't part of what a lot of people call memory, but some people refer to these pieces as memory because they do remember something, but they're remembering it as a file cabinet would remember something, not as your brain would. So you got file cabinets are made up of that, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, are the file cabinets. And you organize your file cabinets. If you're at a business, if you don't have organized file cabinets, you're in trouble. Most likely, you're not doing the same thing with your hard drive. But what you should be doing is something like having some hanging folders. Inside those hanging folders, you should maybe have some manila folders, maybe some envelopes, some other items. So those are your subfolders. And your file cabinet on your hard drive should look something like this. Nice and neat. Or something like this, where you have some organization. Does your hard drive look like that? Probably not. So we're going to talk to you today on how to organize your computer files and what programs built into Windows that you can use. First, let's look at the Windows Explorer, which is part of Windows 7. And that's how you organize your files in Windows 7 using Windows Explorer. Here's a screenshot of the desktop on a Windows 7 computer. And if we go down to the Start button, down on the bottom left, we click on it, you will see the all programs. You'll see what, depending upon how your computer is set up, sometimes those are the last few programs you opened up. Sometimes it's your favorites. But you'll see on the right where it says Computer. When you click on Computer, what you get is Windows Explorer, but you get it at the computer level, and that's what it looks like. If you click it again, or if you go to the or if you click on the little file icon that may be in your taskbar or under all programs, you opened up the Windows Explorer, it usually will go to libraries. Libraries aren't really a folder. They are a virtual folder of all items that are similar, and you can create your own libraries. So when you click on it, for instance, on this particular one, you'll see under libraries there's documents, music, pictures, and videos. In Windows 10, there are no libraries. The libraries have disappeared. Microsoft decided that I guess you don't need them anymore. So that's what the libraries look like. Now, when you're looking at the libraries, on the left in the navigation bar, you can move that up and down and not just look at the libraries, but you can also look at your computer, or you can look at folders and files there, and you'll notice that there are some little arrows that I've circled. If it's pointing down, that means it's been opened up. If it's pointing to the right, it's a little bit lighter, and it means that there's something underneath it, and if you click it, you'll get more subfolders and maybe subfolders under that. So you can build a hierarchy of files and folders, or if you use the analogy of your file cabinet, you can have hanging folders, some manila folders, and then some folders inside of that, and then maybe some documents and maybe some envelopes inside of some of those manila envelopes. And so you have a whole hierarchy of the arrangement. Now, we're in a subfolder now under the user ASUS M, and we're in a folder called Downloads. And you can see to the left it says Downloads, and to the right are the files that are in that folder. And if you look at the top, it shows you what folder you're in, and it says Downloads. And just to make it a little bit bigger, notice where it says Downloads at the top, and ASUS M, that's the user. So as you look at that line at the top, that becomes like a breadcrumb, and you can back up and change where you are through that line, or you can click on various things on your in your Windows Explorer. But what we're going to do now is kind of show you how the layouts are within File Explorer, because they can be changed. If you looked at your File Explorer right now, or your Windows Explorer, it may not look like this, and I'm going to show you why. See, that's where it's circled? Well, when you click on that, it brings up a list of possibilities, and I'm going to make that a little bit bigger here for you so you can see. It gives you some choices of what that's going to look like. Right now, it's the list, and so the items that are there are in a list. Now let's start at the top and go with the different choices so you can see what it would look like with each of those choices. First, we've got the navigation panes. Let's see, I might be out of order here. First, we have the navigation panes, which on the left is your hierarchy, and on the right is the folder that you're in. You can also change the view, and that's what I've got circled to the right. And when you click on that, you can turn on a preview pane, and that takes away some of the real estate of your listing. But you can, if that particular file has a previewer, it will show up. Sometimes if you've got Adobe Acrobat, it may even show you a little picture of the Acrobat file. If you have Word, sometimes the Word file will show up, be very small, but you'll see a small rendition of what it looks like. And when it's a picture, a JPEG like this is, you will see what the picture. You'll see a small rendition of the picture. And so you can turn that viewer on and off as a preview. If it's in the way, you may not want it. There are some times that you may, when you're looking for something, you may need to look and see what it is. Okay, whoops, I went one too many here. Go back. Now, let's go back to the various types of icons or renditions that you can have in the navigation pane, or in the pane here. One is extra large icons, and that's what it looks like. Looking at the same folder, we'll look at the large icons. You can see more of them. Or you can see medium icons, which are even a little bit smaller. And then even small icons, where you can get more on a page. So if you've got a lot of files, you might want to have the small icons. You can also have a list, which is what we started out with. or you can have what you might have been used to in the old DOS days and early Windows. You might have always looked, and I still use this as probably as my main way of viewing my files in details mode. And then you can have them in tiles, which gives you a little bit more information with each one. Or you can even have it as content, which gives you other information when it was modified and the size and so on. Right in for each line, there's a couple of lines for each one. Okay, we're going to go back to the details view now. And what you can do with the details view, like you can with any of the dialog boxes or windows that appear like this, where you've got lists of things, just like you can with Excel, you can sort on any of those columns. You can sort them alphabetically and reverse alphabetically, or by time, and then reverse it. So right now we are alphabetical. When you're alphabetical, the folders will appear at the top all together alphabetically, and then any loose files will appear alphabetically underneath it. And that's what's happening here. You have screen captures, which is a folder, is at the top, and then we start with A, then K, then P, then R. So they are alphabetical. And just to see that up close, you've got, and then we've got some headings for each of those. Notice that we have in the names, that's what we're doing alphabetical. You'll see a little arrow at the top pointing up. That means that it's alphabetical going down. It's just the way the arrow points. So if I click on the word name, it reverses those. So it's alphabetical from Z to A, and the folders are at the bottom. And there is a larger view of that. Notice now that little arrow is in a different direction. What that's telling you is if you want to change it to going down, then you click on it. And you can do the same with date modified, the type and size. Let's take a look quickly at those. On the date modified, again, the folder is at the top, any folders, and then the files come under it by date. And you'll notice that all the ones from January 28th are first, and then the one from the 13th, or yesterday, is at the bottom. Now, you can also search in your folders and subfolders by typing in something, and it will only search that folder and any subfolders below it. So if right now we typed in a search, it would search the screen captures folder and then the files that are there. And just as if you can search anything on your computer, it will look within the files if it's something like a Word file, an Excel file, or if it's the file name, it will also find that information and give you a list of those. So make sure you use that function within a particular folder. If you know something's in that folder, and there's a lot of files in that folder, that's an easy way in which you can find it. Now, if you right mouse click on a file, there's several things that you can do with it, depending upon the file type. In this case, it's a JPEG. So if we look at the open with, you can see that it'll open it with several different programs that I have on this computer. If I just clicked on it, it would open it with the default program. I may not have a default program, and I probably don't, because if you remember under type, it says JPEG image, which means anything under type is going to use whatever the default program is for that particular file type. So in this case, if we choose the default program, for that file type, which is at the bottom of that list. It will then bring up what programs it thinks will open that JPEG file. And then also there's other programs, and you can either hit the down arrow, and in this case there wasn't anything, or then you can go browse and find whatever particular program you've installed. Notice there's a checkbox next to the word browse. It says always use the selected program to open this kind of file. So that's also a way that you can change or set the default program for that file type. So if I decided, okay, I'm going to use the Windows Photo Viewer as my default program, and I have that checked, when I say OK, then any JPEG will then, when I click on it, will open with Windows Photo Viewer, and Windows Photo Viewer will be the icon that will be next to the file type, and it will also, any other JPEG that I have on my computer will now use that as its file type. So right now, I want to move that file. I want to move it over to a folder under Documents, and it's one that I've got marked as Home. And so if I just left mouse click and drag it to the left and to the folder that I want and let go, it's going to move it. And the reason it moves it is that's the default if you're grabbing a file and dragging it to a folder on the same hard drive. If it's on a different drive, it will only copy it. It will not move it. Because what moving is, actually, it's copying and then deleting the original. So if I just dragged it over, the default, because it's on the same hard drive, would be to move it. Now there is a way to control that. Instead of using the left mouse button, use the right mouse button. So I'm going to now, this is, I want it to go under My Documents and under Home. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click that koala. Holding the mouse down, I'm going to then drag it. Let's see, what am I doing here? No, that's not what I'm doing here. Not sure. Oh, I'm showing you another way in which we can do this. I can open a, if I drag that with my right mouse, it would give me a menu, and it would include, now let me move back to that. Instead of it saying move to home, it would give me a menu that would say copy, move, and cancel. And I always recommend that you use the right mouse button instead of the left mouse button to drag a file, to move it, or to copy it, because then you have more control. Because if you just let go of it in the wrong place, you don't know where it went. But if you do make a mistake, you'll always want to go up to Organize and Undo, or just a Control Z will undo what you did if you do it right away. Okay, let's continue on. Now you can also, when the Windows Explorer is open, you can open another window. You can open another instance of of Windows Explorer, or open up Computer, and have a second window, and then drag it over that way. So what we've got, what I did is on that second one, I went into Documents and Home, so I have it there. And then what I did is I went to the first one and then dragged it over and was able to put it in. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about how to download a file and then save it to a folder of your choice. A lot of you can download a file, but then you don't know where it went. You don't know what to do with it, or you don't know where how to get to it again. So sometimes you have to do it several times. I'm on the Central Florida Computer Society website, and I want a copy of the bus line for this month. So I'm on that page, and I see there's a link to the attachment. So what I do is I right mouse click on that button or that link, and I see several choices, and one of them is Save Link As. So So after I've right-clicked on, got the list, I click on Save Link As, and I'll get this dialog box. Well, this dialog box opened up to a folder that I was in earlier that isn't the one where I want to save the file. So I can change this. And there are several things I can do in this at this particular point. One is I can put it in any one of these folders that are here. I can put it in the folder that we're in, but I want to go to a different folder under the word Documents. And right now we're in a folder under Documents called CFCS WinSIG Virtual, but that's not the one I want to be in. So I click on the word Documents, and it brings me back to all of the documents. And you can see I have one called just CFCS. That's the one I want to be in. So I click on that or double click on it. It opens up that folder. And in there's two folders. And I want to create a third folder called Bus Line. So I can save various bus lines in it. Well, there's a couple of ways I can do that. One, I can let's see what happens when I do this next. I can click on the word New Folder, and it immediately will come up with the dialog box and create a new folder, I should say. Or I can go to where the star is, in other words, a blank spot in that folder, right mouse click, I'll get a menu, it'll say New, and when I move my mouse over the word New, then I see a whole list of things that I can create, and if I click on Folder, then I create the folder. So obviously, clicking on the word New Folder, the words New Folder, is a lot easier and quicker, but that didn't used to be there, so I'm in the habit of sometimes just right mouse clicking first and then remembering, oh, I should have just clicked on New Folder. And then I'm halfway into it, so I might as well continue. When you create a new folder, it shows you New Folder. But notice it's highlighted. You don't have to click and then start typing because it's highlighted. Once you start typing, whatever you type in there is going to replace the words New Folder. If you didn't do that and you've got one folder called New Folder and you do this and it'll create one called New Folder with the number 2 after it. And then 3 or 4. So you may have a whole bunch of blank folders that you created that you don't really need. You might want to look at them and see what's in them. If there's nothing in them, just delete them. So you don't have a lot of empty folders. Anyway, so I type the word in Bus Line. As soon as I finish typing it, it puts it alphabetically at the beginning. So I've got the bus line there. So when I double click that bus line, it's now an empty folder. We're still in that dialog box that came up when I'm trying to download the file. So once I click inside that box, it then shows me the file name that I'm downloading and what type it is. And it's showing me that it's going to go in the folder under this PC, under Documents, under CFCS, the folder is called Bus Line, and the file name is going to be 2016-02 fedbusline.pdf. And when I click on the word Save down at the bottom, it's going to save it right there, and there it is. So now not only have I downloaded that file, put it somewhere that I know where it is, but I know how to get and find it again. And it's organized. My hard drive is organized. Now, if I click on that file, it will open up the file because I have Adobe Acrobat Reader as the default for opening up a PDF file. If I didn't have anything, it may come up and say, what do you want to open it with? Or if I right mouse click and then say open with, I would have a choice, and one of them would be Adobe Acrobat Reader, and I could make it the default. So you have you've organized your downloaded file and should be able to find it very easily because you know it's in the downloaded folder. It's in the document folder under CFCS, and it's in a bus line folder. Okay, Windows 10 File Explorer works almost the same way. It just has some new looks, and it does a few more things, and that's what I'm going to show you next, what the Windows 10 File Explorer looks like. So if you're using Windows 10, you'll be able to know what it looks like and be able to do the same thing. However, almost everything I'm going to show you in File Explorer, I'm not repeating everything I did in Windows Explorer from Windows 7. I'm going to show you a few other things that you can do, but you can still do that in Windows 7 unless I point out that it's something new. So to get to the File Explorer, you've got to hit the Start button, and I know that's you can barely see that, so we'll zoom in a little bit here. And what we did is we're in the menu under W, and I'm going into Windows System, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. And my arrow dropped a little bit, but it should be up where it says Windows System, the top arrow. And then below that, under Windows System, is File Explorer and Windows and this PC. This PC is comparable to Computer on Windows 7, and File Explorer is the same as Windows Explorer in Windows 7. So they're both there. You can right mouse click those and either put them on your Start menu or on your taskbar, so you always have access to them, and that's what I do. And notice, so you can click on this PC in the menu on the left, or you can push the button on the Start button or on the Start menu, which says this PC, and it will also start this PC. So you can do it in either, and you can do the same with the File Explorer. You can have that, and you can move it around and put it actually next to it, and you can also have it in your taskbar. So all you have to do is click on it once. Okay, when we open up this PC, it looks a lot like Computer on Windows 7. It shows the drives, shows the folders, however there's no libraries anymore. And you'll see that the top of it looks somewhat similar. Now if I click on the word Computer or View, in order to do anything, you'll see there's not really a menu there. In order to do anything, it actually will then show me a ribbon. And let's see, let's get there. Oh, this was the File Explorer. So you can see that they look almost identical. I'm going to go back to this PC and then to File Explorer. Very similar. They're just, what's on the right is a little bit different, but what's on the left is basically the same thing. Now, in order to do anything, you need to have some menus. And what they are using now in Windows 10 is the ribbon. And it's minimized, I believe, by default. And so I clicked it to turn it on by right mouse clicking along where the menu is. And when I click to turn it on, I now have a ribbon. If you don't do that, when you click on the word Home in the tabs at the top, it will show up. But when you move to the bottom or when you start doing something, it disappears again. I prefer just to have it on there. So I turn it on and leave it on. Now you'll notice that where we're at under the word View is the same things you had in the Windows 7 with the different views that you can use. You have your large icons. You have your, that's what we have here is a large icon. You've got, let's see, what am I doing here? Oh, let me go back. I didn't go through each of those like I thought like I did with the other. That we can turn on the view, the previewer, and that's what I've done here. And so you'll see it over on the right. And then the next one, they do have one more choice that we didn't have in Windows 7 or 8, and that's the Details pane. And you'll notice on the left, you've got the Navigation pane, which is just the two pieces. The preview pane gives you on the right a preview of it, or the details pane gives you a small icon of it and then gives you some more information about it. So that's an addition in Windows 10 that you now have, that you've got some more information about whatever the file is. And it'll vary on the type of file that you're using. So they added a details pane. Now, okay, now here's the extra large icons, the large icons, the medium icons, the small icons, the list, the details, and you can also add columns. Now you can do this in the earlier versions as well. In Windows 7 you can do this as well. When you add a column, right now I'm showing the date, the type, the size, and the tags, and those are the ones with check marks next to them. I could also have date created, date modified, date taken, if it's a picture, dimensions, ratings, and you can, and if you hit choose columns, whatever information is there about a particular file, you can have it as a column. Not only can you do that, you can add the column, but you can modify them. You can modify them in several ways. One thing, I didn't make a slide on this, but you can actually take where the word date is, highlight it, drag it to the other side of the word type, and you would have type first and then date. In other words, you could change the order of them. Something else that you can do to modify the column is, you'll notice the double arrow between the word name and date. If I move my mouse there, I get a double arrow, and then I can just click and drag and make that column bigger so I can read the file names. Well, obviously you only have so much space, so it's going to take away from something else, so you have to decide number one, whether you want to keep all of the columns, or what column you want to make smaller or larger, and so on. So, but you can do that, or you can just move it back like I did. And so you can widen the navigation pane as well. Notice where the double arrow is there. That navigation pane I can drag and then make that wider as well. So you can do a lot to change the looks. And so just simply me putting a picture of this up might look totally different on your computer, and it may not be the way you're comfortable in working with it, or somewhere along the way somebody set it up for you and it doesn't look like this because it's got the large icons, it's got a narrow or it's got an extra wide navigation bar on the left. So it can look different. And that's what I'm trying to point out to you, that there's different ways in which you can have this look. Now also notice that now we're seeing the .jpg next to the particular, it says Irfan View JPEG file, because I'm using Irfan View as a default for JPEGs. So now it's added that under type, instead of saying just JPEG file, it actually gives it a program. And it's going to be different on your computer if your default program is something else. So when you tell somebody, if somebody's helping you or you're helping somebody, and they say, oh, that's an Irfan View file, it may not be that way on another computer. So it's not really an Irfan View file, it's the fact that it's associated with, on that particular computer, with Irfan View. Now you'll notice also directly above where it says Irfan View towards the top, there are a couple of checkboxes. One, you can have the file name extensions. By default, Microsoft likes to turn those off so you can't see them. Well, sometimes that's a pain, and I like to have them on, so you can individually turn them on in folders, or you can make that a default for all of your folders as well. So right now it's checked, so therefore you see the .jpg. Okay, let's look at the ribbon. There are some things in the ribbon that you can do to make it easier for you to copy and move files. There's a move to and a copy to. If you click on the move to, it gives you a drop down. It shows you several folders that you can copy it to, or in this case move it to. But if they aren't the particular one that you want, you go down to choose location at the bottom, it then brings up the dialog box, and you can decide where you want to copy, in this case, move it. You can do the same thing with copy by clicking the copy to, which is right next to it. Now, let me, I didn't put this in as a slide, but let's, if you want to select one file, you just click on it. If you want to select a group of files, you click on the first one, go down to the bottom one that you want if they're all in a row, hold the Shift key down and click again, and it will highlight everything from the first one to the last one. Or if you use the Control and click on files, it will turn, that's an on-off button, so you can randomly pick various files that you want to highlight to copy or to move. So you just hold the Control key down, click on one, move your arrow to a different one, click again, and keep doing that till you get all the ones that you want if they're not in a row. But let's say you want all but one. You want all but the one folder that I'm highlighting right there. You want everything but that one. Well, what you can do is you highlight that one, then go up to the top right where the arrow is, where the cursor is, and it says Invert Selection. When you invert selection, it highlights everything else and unhighlights the one you had highlighted. So if you want to move everything but one file or a couple of files, do this, and then by holding your Control key down, you could go click on one or two others, and they will unhighlight those. So then you've got everything but two or three of them, and then do your copy or move. Now there's also in the at the top, there's what's called a quick access toolbar. And right now I've got properties and new folder as a couple of choices at the top. I could uncheck those and add delete or redo or undo, or leave them and add the others. So you can have several quick access buttons in your toolbar. There's no word to tell you what they are. You're just going to have to learn and remember what they represent, but you can just click on it. So the yellow one that's there is the new folder. So instead of finding the word new folder or trying to figure out how to do a new folder, if I'm in a folder, all I have to do is click that, and it'll create a new folder or a new subfolder within that folder, just by one button, without a word or anything else. File Explorer can be pinned on the taskbar or the Start menu, and you can unpin it from them. Notice at the bottom is a folder, and that's the way I have mine, and then I have the this PC right next to it, so they're always there. So with one click I can open them up from my taskbar. So I pin them to the taskbar so it makes it easier for me. Now, another way in which you can copy files, if you're used to the old DOS days when you had to have a program that would have two separate windows and you'd be able to copy one from the other, you can open up two File Explorer windows, and using the snap to, you can snap one to this one side and then snap the other one to the other side. To snap, you just simply make one of them the live tile, hold the Windows key down and hit the right arrow, and it'll put it over on the right side, and it'll take up half the screen. And then when you click on the other one, it will fill the other half of the screen, or you can just hit the Windows key and the left arrow, and it will put it there. And when you do, it's going to look like this. Then you can copy or move from one side to the other. I know there's third-party programs out there that do this. As soon as you start the program, they give you two windows of two folders or subfolders, and you can move things around that way. But this is how you can do it from within Windows itself without a third-party program. And then to copy or move, you highlight it, and you just drag it over to the other side, and it will, because it's on, if it's on the same hard drive, it'll move it. If you right mouse click it, if you remember I mentioned, and then drag, you will get this menu, and I think I made a bigger copy of it. Nope. Let's go back. Thought I did. It'll say, well, this one says 7-zip, so I can zip them, zip it. I can copy it, move it, create a shortcut here, or cancel. So I have a choice. So I always like to use that right mouse button no matter whether it's on the same drive or a different drive, so it always gives me the choice. And the one that's highlighted there, in this case, it says move here because it's highlighted and it's a little bit larger and darker. That means it's on the same hard drive. It was a different hard drive, the default would be, and it would be bold. It would say copy here. The copy here would be bold. So you can organize your files using using one of the file managers, either File Manager or Windows Explorer, or you can use a third-party application if you want to, or you can use the one that comes with Windows, which is what I've been showing you. The third-party ones, if you have a question on what might do that, ask Stan Wallner. He's the expert in that. He has a program that he uses all the time. Okay, you can open the mic, and we're open for any questions.